Myself, Swaminathan Iyer, and today I am the co-host for this webinar, which whose topic is laboratory water decoded. Before I get into the slide, we most of the people think that water is something which is easily and the cheapest available utility, though it is the most complex and commonly used reagent in the lab. So water plays a major role, and today I would try to take you through the importance of the water in a lab, and also guide you on selecting the right product, understanding what are the precautions or what are the questions you need to ask to the vendor. So before even getting into the water topic or the laboratory water, let us understand what a lab is. A lab for me is something where you do a test and produce result, or you do some scientific procedures using different instrument and to produce result, and these results are used for further investigation or action. The four major steps involved in a laboratory would be the sample collection, sample preparation, testing, and issuing of results. So these results are generated by different instruments in the laboratory, which are often considered as instruments of high importance. These are considered to be high importance because these produce results. And high performance liquid chromatography, or an HPLC, or a RT-PCR, real time PCR, or an ICP-MS, these high end instruments generate results. But for these instruments to generate results, you need to have a good complementary equipments. These complementary equipments are the equipments which enables the sample preparation. And there is a proven record that most of the time is spent on sample preparation. And the equipments that enables in the sample preparation are products like a pH meter, a weighing balance, or a water purification system. When the water purification system or this complementary equipment doesn't work, or if they are not delivering the right quality of water, it leads to rework because people are not able to produce the result. The results fail, the accuracy fails. When the results are not reproducible or they are not accurate, the customer or the lab analyst has to perform the experiment again, which leads to increased cost of labor and cost of chemicals. So it is very important to have water which is free from contaminants. So what is this lab water instrument? Simply, laboratory water purification system is a facility or an instrument that will deliver the desired water quality for the desired application. The point to be noted here is the desired water quality for the desired application, which clearly states that different laboratory application would need different qualities of water. For example, for an autoclave or a sterilizer in an hospital would need a good treated water which would avoid scaling on the heaters, due to which the heat transfer may be reduced. And the water used to generate the steam may not be as critical as the water that could be used in an RT-PCR in the same hospital. So if you look at broadly in the lab, the water used is primarily depending upon the application, the sensitivity of the application. Hence, the water in the lab is broadly classified as type 3, type 2, and type 1. In this slide, I have not given the exact specification which you could get it on the net if you follow the standards like ASTM, American Society for Testing of Materials, or the NCCLS, which is for the pathology labs, or the pharmacopoeia of various countries. So, for example, the USP talks about purified water, reagent water. The Japan pharmacopoeia talks about water for chromatography application. So, to summarize it, different laboratory application would require different qualities of water. This quality of water will be determined by the sensitivity of the application the user is working on. Broadly, there are three types of water: type 3, type 2, and type 1. Type 3 can be considered something which is as a treated water, type 2 as pure water or equivalent to USP grade purified water, and type 1 is the ultra pure water or can be considered as water for chromatography application as referred in European pharmacopoeia. So the next question which people or the users may look at is how a lab water instrument works. Lab water instrument is actually made of different purification technique. This one slide would give you an idea of what are the different contaminants and how it is removed. There are 5 different contaminants, which is particulates. These are something which is not dissolved. Then you have ions. These are the minerals or the salt. The examples are calcium, magnesium, and things like that. Any positively charged material, positively or negatively charged material. Then you have inorganic, or sorry, the organic. Organic is anything related to the carbon. It could be human waste, it could be decaying objects or the petroleum, sugar. Examples of that, those are organic. And then you have the biological contaminants. This could include bacteria, algae, DNAs, endotoxin, things like that. And on the left hand side, you have the different technologies like microfiltration, activated carbon, reverse osmosis, deionization, UV, or electrodeionization. So what this chart tries to explain you is a water purification system is a combination of different purification technique. There is no single technology that can remove all the contaminants. For example, activated carbon will be a very effective, can remove up to 99% of organic contaminants, but it will pass particulates, ions, and the biological contaminant. It cannot stop. If you look at ultraviolet, it is very effective in removing the biological contaminants. It, it can kill bacteria. It can restrict the multiplication of bacteria. And a combination of 185 or a dual wavelength UV lamp of 185 and 254 nanometer is very effective in removing the organic contaminants. But the same UV cannot remove particles or ions. Similarly, a microfiltration will remove particles, but it will allow ions and organic. So the most commonly used technology is the reverse osmosis, which would remove up to 90 to 95% of all the contaminants. My dear friend, here it says that it removes up to 95%, which means to say that the output water or the permeate of RO would vary with the feed water variation in the feed water quality. So you would not be able to get a consistent water quality after the RO. So it is very important to have different techniques, different purification techniques aligned and designed in a various steps into a single box to deliver pure and ultra pure water. And these forms the consumable which has to be replaced on a regular interval to ensure that you get the desired water quality. And the performance of the consumable, the life of the consumable will completely depend on the feed water quality, the variation in the feed water quality, and the amount of water that has been used. So the next question would be, what would be the user's responsibility? The first and basic thing is to define the water quality requirement. So he has to understand his application and inform or understand what is the water quality required. For example, a scientist who is working on tissue culture, for the animal tissue culture, he may require an ultra pure water, but for a plant tissue culture, he may be working with a type 2 water or a pure water. For an HPLC at a lower gradient, he may use a water with higher TOC level. He may use a reagent grade water, but when he is working on a very lower wavelength and looking at impurity profiling, he may require ultra pure water with a very low TOC levels. So it is the user who has to define what is the water quality depending upon the sensitivity of the application. The next is he has to estimate what is his daily requirement and the peak requirement. So the daily estimate is the total amount of water that could be used during the working hours. Say, for example, the lab is working for 8 hours. He has to estimate in the complete 8 hours what would be his requirement. And the peak requirement would be at a stretch, at a single point of time, what is the maximum water that could be needed. I would give you an example. Say a lab starts at around 9 o'clock and works till evening 6. In the entire day, the lab may be using 100 liters. However, when in the early morning, when the lab people come, they would need a good amount of water at a single stretch to prepare the buffers and the media. So probably in the first 1 hour, the customer may require say around 30 to 40 liters of water at a stretch, and the balance 60 liters would be utilized over the period of 6 to 7 hours. So that's the difference between a daily requirement and the peak requirement. The third important thing is to understand what is the feed water source. As I just discussed in the earlier slide, the water purification system is made of different purification techniques, different purification packs. And this performance or this get exhausted while treating or blocking the contaminants. Hence, the life of this consumable will depend on the feed water quality. And the feed water quality is determined by the source of the water. The source of the water, why it is important is, say for example, if you have water being collected from a pond, it is this water can have high amount of biological contaminant because this is stagnant water. If the water is collected from the ground, okay, from a bore well or a ground, the source is groundwater, it is quite possible that there could be a lot of inorganic, there could be a lot of salt, because when the water is in the ground, It adds a lot of minerals to it. If the water source is from a river or a flowing water, it could carry a lot of organic or it could carry a lot of particulates. Hence, it is important for the customer to understand the source, which will determine what could be the contaminants in the feed water, and accordingly, he can suggest or he can ask for a pre-treatment, because water quality from place to place, from different geography, for that matter, even from building to building, can be different. So it is very important that the customer checks the feed water quality at a regular interval. This will not only enhance the life of the consumable, but also give you consistent water quality and avoid breakdown. And the last is about the quality and the qualification norms. A research, a government research, or a college or academia may not require an IQOQ, but a quality testing lab or a NABL lab or a pathology lab would require qualification. So few things, or these four questions are very important, which the user has to understand and ask for it from the vendor. One is understand his daily requirement, understand his application and the water quality required, understand the feed water source, and based on that, ask for the customized pre-treatment. So, how do I select a water purification system or a vendor? I think this slide, okay, these requirements can be used or applicable for any product for that matter. So there are three components. One is the user requirement, second is the product itself, and the third is the supplier or the vendor. The first is the user. With respect to the water purification system, the user has to define the product which he is going to select. Will it deliver the desired water quality for his various application? Second is, will the product flow rate meet his daily and the peak requirement? And the third important thing is that whatever be the specification of the product, but then will it treat the water that is available at my location, at the customer location? Can the supplier give a proper treatment if I give him the feed water analysis? So these user requirements are something which cannot be compromised. Then it comes to the product features. The first and foremost requirement is that it has to meet the user requirement. That is, it has to deliver 18.2 megohm. It has to have variable flow rates that could meet the user requirement, and there should be able to give a comprehensive purification chain or a pre-treatment that could treat the feed water quality available at the customer place. The second is GLP compliance service. Today, without saying, all the products that comes has to meet the good laboratory practices, whether in terms of the quality of the product or the performance or the documentation or the on-site qualification for a regulatory environment. The third would be cost versus the features. There are a lot of features that are available, but then the customer has to determine whether these features are nice to have or they are a must. I would give you an example. Today, people talk about 21 CFR Part 11 compliance. If I understand properly, these are the audit trails, electronic audit trails that would be used for the instrument that generates data and are submitted for the product release. The water purification system, does it come under it? Is a call which the customer has to take, because there is a cost involved. Because if the product gets connected to the uh, PC, okay, there is a cost for maintenance and there is a cost for renewal. So the customer has to do a analysis on cost versus feature. Then comes the vendor credentials. The first and foremost thing is about his technical capability. So how competent he is, or how long he has been in this business, and how good he understands his customers and his product. The second is about the supply chain and the spares availability. Will the company able to sustain the supplies, or how it is going to provide service to its users after a certain period of time? Are these components easily available? How are they sourced? What is the quality of this product? And the third important thing is about the service support. It's not only the technical service, it is not only about the installation, it is also about the application support. So if the user is able to define the parameters in these three matrix of the user requirement, product features, and vendor credential, and market, they would be able to easily identify the product and the vendor. So that was the short few tips on decoding the lab water system. Just two slides on my organization. We are from Ion Exchange. We are proud to say that we are the Asia's largest water treatment and environment solution provider with an experience of more than 50 years. Our products includes solutions for home, industry, and communities. And all these sectors are catered through our vast network of field sales and service. We have offices across the country, and we also have a global presence in various continents across the globe. Our major strength has been our manufacturing capabilities, whether it is chemicals, whether it is resins, or whether it is RO membrane. We manufacture those things in house. We have plants which are US FDA approved, and all the components used in the product or the services are from our own stable. This is backed by our R&D, which has been operational since 1965, which is recognized by the Government of India, the Department of Science and Industrial Research. We have two R&D facilities, one for chemicals at the Central India at Hyderabad, and then for the engineering service, we have it at the suburbs of Mumbai, Maharashtra, where we have research center for engineering products and for the lab cube, the microbiology lab. The key to our success has been the service infrastructure what we have. We have 7 different verticals catering to 7 different uh, market segment. For example, we have a segment for paper, pulp, or for the power sector, for the pharmaceutical, and so on. And each of these vertical has a dedicated service team, because the requirements are different, the application is different, the volume or the size of the solution is different. So we need to have different team, different capabilities, different resource to cater to the varied requirement of our customer. And all this are catered through our centralized call center, which is based out of our Mumbai office. So it is easy for the customer to register a complaint and track the services of the solution they have purchased. We have entered into this laboratory water market in the last 2 years, and we are proud to say that today we have an installation of more than 300 units across India in the span of last 2.5 years. We have kept our product offering quite simple. We have three different products: the water maker, the smart, and the ultra. Indian LabQ water maker delivers type 3 water, and the Indian LabQ Smart delivers type 2 water, which could be used for the general routine laboratory needs like dissolution and media preparation. And the LabQ Ultra is an integrated unit which delivers type 2 and type 1 water for various critical application with the potable water as a feed. To fulfill the peak requirement, we have various storage options, and we also have customized pre-treatment based on the feed water analysis. So that was my last slide. So before opening to the questions, a small note introduction about me. My name is Swaminathan Nayyar, and you could get in touch with me directly or through the Biomall for any questions related to the laboratory water. I thank you once again for your patience and participation, and I also thank the Biomall team for conducting this webinar. Thank you very much.